Srimad Bhagavatam, how many chapters does Varahadev get? How many chapters does Lord Varahadev get in his description in the third canto? 1. You could say 2. How about Lord Nrsimhadev? You might say Prahlad Charit, right? It's not Nrsimhadev, it's Prahlad. He gets 8 chapters, although Lord Nrsimhadev only gets like 15 verses at the end, isn't it? How many chapters does Krishna get in the Srimad Bhagavatam? Yeah, he gets his whole canto. Plus, you can say there's a summary there at the beginning of the third canto, and there's even a summary a little bit there in the second canto. So Krishna gets some more attention. His pastimes are wonderful and a little more intricate, but Lord Chaitanya has his own Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, as well as Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. There's all the other books, and then there's Lord Chaitanya gets his own bookshelf of glorification of his pastime. So I won't be able to do justice today, but I hope to give some hint about where each of you can look based on your own heart's inspiration, where you are in your Krishna consciousness, where you are in your journey in relating to Lord Chaitanya. Everybody has their own relationship. That's what's always something about in front of a group of devotees, is that in some way you will always fail, because it's fundamentally impersonal to try to assume where everybody is in their connection with God. But I feel safe in assuming that everybody here has some connection, some relationship with Lord Chaitanya already. So we'll try to speak to a few different facets of the diamond of Lord Chaitanya, hoping that one or the other will glint and inspire something that's already there in your heart that you're cultivating in your relationship with their Lordship. So I'll do a very brief invocation prayers just to ask the blessings of our previous acharyas, and then we're going to go on a parikrama of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, using a framing from the 11th canto in a famous conversation between Maharaj Nimi and the Nava-yogindras, the famous yogis that were speaking Advaya Gyan, this distilled katha of the essence of truth to this great Rajarishi, this very august personality. And there, among many other things, they describe the qualities of one who is on the platform of Madhyama. Anyone want to venture a guess or know what we mean by Madhyama? Yeah, Madhyama Adhikari.
So one who is able to discriminate between favorable and unfavorable.
Yeah. So in English, sometimes this word discrimination is not such a great word, but it's not a word we should throw out. It has its ugly side, but it also has its helpful side. That discrimination means I know how to make healthy choices. That's the good side. Exactly. To tell apart. Where should I be going? Where should I not be going? Where should I be worried? Where should I not be worried? And in devotional life, it takes a little while to get to that place, to learn how to make choices that are healthy, not for everybody, not for a religion, but for me, in my walk towards God, how to make healthy choices. So I love this, discernment, discrimination. This is a great framing for what a Madhyama is. And I would like to offer a vision of Lord Chaitanya as the ideal Madhyama, which is a little odd, right? Because God's supposed to be God. He's supposed to be big. But in the case of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we'll share in a moment, he holds a very unique position. He's not worried about being big God. He just wants to be one of the little guys. He just wants to be one of us, one of the devotees. And so in doing so, he lives in such a way, he carries such an ethic that it invites us to actually try to be like God. Whereas usually when you try to do that, you're going to end up with problems. You'll find out quickly you're not the most powerful, you're not the biggest, you're not the smartest if you try to be God. But in the case of Mahaprabhu, we're actually welcomed to try to aspire. We're encouraged to try to aspire to behave like him. So we'll take a little parikrama, a walk through Mahaprabhu's pastimes, with this framing of Madhyama Mahaprabhu, taking our cue from the 11th canto. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Paya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyadi Paschatya Deshatari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Once more. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Prashadena Tadrupa Sevinirnayam Balapikute Shastram Drisra Vraja Vilasini. Well, a few days ago was the Tithi, the actual lunar day of Mahaprabhu's appearance. And something special happened way back 500 something years ago on that day that Mahaprabhu appeared that also happened just a few days ago. Anyone know what that is? Yeah, the alignment of lots of planets and an eclipse, right? The moon is covered. So there's lots of, as with everything in this world, what to speak of in the realm of the Katha, the discussion of God's pastimes, there's different angles to see things, right? Different ways of understanding what's happening and why it's happening. Mahaprabhu's pastimes are no different. This prayer that I said at the very end there, Sri Chaitanya Prashadena Tadrupasya Vinirnayam Balopi Kurute Shastra Vistra Vrajavilasani. This is Krishnadas Kaviraj's invocation prayer to the most important chapter in all of our community's philosophy. If you want to know what the most important chapter is, you're going to read one chapter of one book. It's not from Bhagavad Gita. It's not even from Srimad Bhagavatam. It's from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's chapter 4, the Adi Lila. It's the very beginning of the book. And the chapter is entitled The Internal Reasons for Mahaprabhu's Appearance, which implies there are also some external reasons. Where does that chapter? Yeah, chapter 3. Chapter 3 is titled The External Reasons. Chapter 4 is entitled The Internal Reasons. So Kaviraj is already giving us this understanding that there's different directions, different ways of approach. You can get off at one exit, you can get off at another exit, but eventually you want to end up here. And so he's saying the real mercy, the real sign that Mahaprabhu's juice has come and started to saturate your life is that you get Drisva Vraj. You get this fixation on the pastimes of Vrindavan. Because that's what Mahaprabhu himself was doing. He was trying to become obsessed with Krishna. And so the sign that you're really hanging out with him, that you're really getting his mercy, is that you also similarly start to become Drisva, just absorbed, obsessed with Krishna. There's a lot of other things to become obsessed with these days. And maybe we're familiar with those and we watch people in our lives get distracted. Maybe we've even noticed, we're humble enough to notice we get distracted sometimes. So this is the sign that Mahaprabhu's effect is being had, is that you're starting to become one of those crazy people. Just get concerned with Krishna. And in this that we talked about from Madhya Lila, or rather from the 11th canto, the Nava-Yogindras are framing, what does it mean to be a maturing person in spiritual life? What does it mean to be a Madhyama? They give us 4 qualities. They say prema, maitre, kripa, upeksha. Prema means love. You start to become concerned just about love. Life is about love. There was a popular song a couple years ago, by Outkast called Hey Ya. Anyone remember Hey Ya? That song? And Andre 3000, he asks in that song, it's great, like a radio song. Everyone's heard it. Andre 3000 asks, what makes love the exception? What's different about love next to some like fascination, some interest? It comes and it goes. What makes love the exception? Everybody wants it, but everyone wants money too.
Uninterrupted, unmotivated.
It's pure, uninterrupted, unmotivated. I think we're getting somewhere now. Uninterrupted, unmotivated. You can have pure vodka also. Triple filtered. What makes love the exception? Unmotivated, uninterrupted. And what we mean by uninterrupted is that it's forever. That's really what we're looking for, that nothing else has provided yet. No spouse, no house, no employer has ever provided forever. Unconditional. Yes, absolutely. It doesn't stop, right? It doesn't, oh, if it's this way, if it's winter, then it's not there. If it's summertime, it's not there. If it's old, it's not there. If you're poor now, it's not there. No, always. That's what makes love special. And so this is the hallmark of the Madhyama. First thing, prema, then maitri, kripa, upeksha. First thing is prema, means life is about love. And yes, other things are happening and I have to give attention in other places, but first and foremost, it's about love. And this beautiful thing happens in Mahaprabhu's Leela, because for the first 2 decades of Mahaprabhu's life, he's just literally, as Vrindavan Das Thakur says, a young punk. In fancy old Bengali, Vrindavan Das Thakur says, just a young punk, just an arrogant scholar. This is how you'll see it written in English if you see the translation. Arrogant scholar enjoying his insolence. Now, insolence is a word that we don't hear too often in English. What does insolence mean? Yeah, just your like pride, just like shameless pride. And God was having fun being shamelessly prideful. You guys ever like feel yourself? You don't care what anybody else says, what they do. You're just like in it. You got your threads on, whatever you like, and listening to your music, and it's just leave me alone. Mahaprabhu is just basking in that as a scholar. He wasn't devoted particularly. He was pious. He was in a religious community, but he wasn't giving his energy to God. He was calling attention to himself. How smart I am, how beautiful I am, how clever I am, I'm young, I'm fit. This was Mahaprabhu. And then his father passes away. Jagannath Mishra departs out of the anxiety of what happening, which is a whole other discussion. What happens that Jagannath Mishra leaves? Out of anxiety, just out of like stress, he dies. Because his other son had left. His other son had taken sannyas and then left, gone, passed. And so Jagannath Mishra couldn't bear the separation from Vishvarup, and he himself left. And so now Nimai, the arrogant scholar, I don't know if anyone has ever had this like awakening that happened in your own life where you're just like young and think the whole world is like set up to serve you. Reality just like lands in your lap. That no, actually, there's some responsibility here. You can't just be a young punk forever. Sorry. The mortgage bill comes finally, and you realize you have to pay that. And some people, they shirk at that moment. That's when drugs, that's when intoxication, that's when irresponsibility just like ramps up. All the bad, ugly things, they just do those more to try to avoid, to try to escape. But others, probably most of you in this room, if not everybody, when that call comes, then you're like, okay. That's when you finally realize, okay, I've got to start doing something more productive with my life. I have to start saying thank you and giving back. I've actually received so much and I've not given much yet. It's time to do some service. And that first service that people usually have a sense to do, it's not God, it's not Mahaprabhu, It's not the absolute truth. It's usually the relative truths in front of them. Let me be a decent son for the first time in 22 years. Let me be a decent daughter. Let me be a decent husband, a decent wife, a decent parent. I've got these children here. Let me actually start to show up for the world and not just worry about my selfish self. It's exactly what happened to Mahaprabhu. His father passed away and he realized my mother's just alone in this world now. And my father needs me to go and do the Shraddha ceremony. My father's soul is depending, as we know, reincarnation, the soul, it has a destination that it can go, and depending on certain ceremonies, certain prayers, certain attentive rules being followed, then the soul can have a higher onward journey or a lower onward journey. And so Mahaprabhu realized, I have to go do Shraddha ceremony in a place called Gaya. So he goes to Gaya to take care of his father. It's very instructive actually for us, because there's this interesting harmony between taking care of our worldly responsibilities and growing in a relationship with God. Sometimes it's misunderstood that going towards God means going away from everyone else. That's what the Kanishtas say. That's a discussion for a different time. But the Kanishtas, who are below the Madhyamas, they're the ones that say God is over here and everyone else is over there, so I don't like you guys anymore, I like him, so I'm just going to care about him. But all of those that you're ignoring are God's children. So if you're ignoring God's children but trying to say that you love him, there's a disconnect there. Prabhupada put it very bluntly. He said, love me, love my dog. You can't love my dog, or you can't love me without also loving my dog. So we're all God's pets. We're all Krishna's children. So if you think that spiritual life means just ignoring everyone else, missing the point. So Mahaprabhu is not ignoring his family. He's not ignoring his worldly situation. Actually, he's leaning into it. And what happens when he goes to Gaya and he does the Shraddha ceremony? Who does he meet? Ishvarapuri. In trying to do what's right by his material father, he meets his spiritual father. Very poetic, very instructive for the Madhyama. It's not about rejecting everything. It's about harmonizing it. It's about bringing it in and recognizing, why has God put me with these parents in this place? I was born in Massachusetts, moved to North Carolina for 22 years, surrounded by a very stable, safe family. We had almost no money, but it almost didn't matter because my parents were so safe and stable for my sister and I. And now looking back, I can see what a blessing that was. Even my own relatives in that same place in North Carolina, my cousins, their dad has lots of money, but he didn't have the same sense of responsibility that my dad had. So their lives went very different. So how to look and see, and maybe your life was also difficult in those ways, but somehow here you are still on your path. Krishna has a plan, and each of us have to learn that and how to integrate it. And so Mahaprabhu going to Gaya gives this lesson for each of us, this indication of the importance of integration of our worldly situation and our spiritual ideal. And when he comes back from Gaya, after having his Guru Maharaj, Ishvarapuri, everybody in Navadvip, where he's from, is very worried. Especially his mom, Mother Sachi. She's the mom of moms. Right? So she's just racked with anxiety almost as soon as she sees Nimai, because she can tell something has changed. My boy is different. And until moms figure out why their boy is different, they can't rest, can't sleep. So Mother Sachi, she says, Nimai is sick. Something's wrong. We have to get a doctor. We have to get a Vaidya, someone to come and take your pulse and check the doshas and see something wrong. So she calls the Vaidya, but also some seniors are there, some elders, and their wisdom is also welcome. And Mahaprabhu himself, he asks Srivas Thakur, when we say this Panchatattva mantra, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita, Gadadhar, Srivas. He's the last, but in some ways he's the best because he's the bhakta of the group himself. He represents Jiva Shakti in the Panchatattva. So Mahaprabhu asked Srivas, am I sick? Is there something wrong with me? And Srivas, he says, yes, my Lord. Definitely there's something wrong with you. And I would request you please also give me that disease. I want to be sick like you. Because your disease is not something of the life airs. You don't have some bacterial infection. It's not early COVID. You have the disease of prema. You've fallen in love. At least on a material level, probably most of us in this room have fallen in love before. And you know how much of a bother you become to everyone else. Right? You just get so fixated on that one person, and everything else just kind of like fades away. Unimportant. Now imagine giving that to them. Giving that to somewhere that is unconditional, as Prabhu said. Unmotivated, uninterrupted realm of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. That's the opportunity. That is prema. That is what Mahaprabhu allowed to start guiding his life. From then on, no more arrogant scholar. No more enjoying himself as a kind of like flamboyant, talented young man. From that moment on, now my life is about love, and love means to serve. Love means to give. So then Maitre, once this orientation happens, as many of you have probably experienced, what happens when you start taking your spiritual life seriously? What happens, especially in your other relationships in your life? The other people you're connected to. Yes, Ma, say it louder. Everything falls away. Everything, everyone. It feels and looks like that in the beginning, right? Everyone and everything kind of falls away. But then somehow it settles, you notice there are a few people still standing. There are a few people who have remained and actually maybe even come closer. And there's a few new people who are closer and actually more trustworthy than all those other people who you thought would never leave, that are somehow gone now and never to be seen again. Maitre means friendship. And friendship is essential. We all need friends. Doesn't matter, brahmachari, sannyasi, grihasta, man, woman, young, old, you need friends. And when your life is about love, then you need a certain group of friends. You need a sangha. You need those that you can trust to hold you accountable to love. Because everyone else will tell you, be accountable to your bank account. Be accountable to your social media followers. Be accountable to your kid going to an Ivy League school. Be accountable to getting your name on a billboard. Being in front of the camera. Be accountable to your own whim. Just do what you feel like, whenever you feel like. That's what all the other friends are saying. So what does it mean, Maitre? It means to find the friends that are also living for love. Understanding that on my own, I ain't gonna make it. I can't do it by myself. So I need that support. I need that sangha. I need that friendship. And so Mahaprabhu, he started to curate this. And this happened again at the home of Srivas. This is where we can find the example of Srivas Angam. Before Mahaprabhu was out there giving the mercy and doing Sankirtan in the streets and singing and dancing, long before that, he was getting together with his close friends, Advaita, Haridas, Srivas, Mukunda. They were getting together in one person's house, Srivas Thakur's, and doing kirtans. And if there was even a hint of a presence of another person who wasn't tight, suhrit, like heart-centered friend, not just like acquaintance, you know, Facebook, we see each other from time to time and pass each other in the hallway, Haribol, but like suhrit, heart to heart. If there was even a hint of a person that wasn't heart to heart, Mahaprabhu would stop the kirtan and say, okay, we need to do some house cleaning. Once there was a brahmachari, he begged Srivas, please, 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 I want to see, I want to know, what are you guys doing in there? You know, like a little kid and parents keep the one door locked. My grandma, she had one door locked in the whole house. So that was the only door any grandkids cared about. Just like, what is in there? What is so important and precious or secret or dangerous that grandma won't let us in there? So the brahmachari was just, he was desperate. Like these people, they're doing something in there. I want to know. So he convinced Srivas to let him sneak in and hide. And Mahaprabhu, he could smell it. He could feel it. You know, you feel it, just something's not quite right. The vibe is off. So Mahaprabhu, the kirtan was going on, dancing was happening, but then Mahaprabhu stopped. He said, I'm not feeling the same ecstasy. It's not sweet. This is store-bought. This is not homemade. This is canned. It's not fresh. It looks the same, but you can tell. You taste it? Oh, it sat in a can for a year. Not the same. So Srivas then understood, I made a mistake to try to rectify this. And he referenced the brahmachari. They took him out of the closet. My Lord, he's very good. All he does, he doesn't eat anything, hardly. He just drinks a little milk every day, very strict with his vows, very austere, studies the Shastra. Mahaprabhu said, do you think the price of entrance here is a glass of milk? Babies also only drink milk. It takes much more than that to come in this place. So he kicked the brahmachari out. And then they brought the brahmachari back because he was actually a nice guy. It was a sweet test. And later on, Srivas's own mom would be taken out of that house. Or maybe mother-in-law. Mother-in-law? Srivas's own mother-in-law would be taken out of the house. So because her energy was not in accord with the kirtan. So Maitre, friendship, does not just mean, oh, I'm a spiritualist, I love God, so now I can go up to anybody on the street and become their best friend, and that's my job. And if I don't do that, then I'm not calm, I'm not loving. Actually, quite the opposite. Real Maitre, the ethic of friendship in spiritual life, means to be careful. Doesn't mean you're a jerk, doesn't mean you dismiss people just because they're not a part of your club. But you are careful with your heart, and you're sensitive that I'm actually connected to other hearts also. If I bring somebody in to the circle, it's not just my heart I'm putting in jeopardy, it's also everyone else. And am I ready? Are they ready? Is this person ready for that? Maitre. To be very careful in our friendship, but also to recognize I need it, have to have it. Prema, Maitre, Kripa. What is Kripa? Kripa means mercy, the compassion, the kindness that comes from the heart of somebody who's trying to love God. Happens automatically. If you're paying attention, then it's just what overflows. You don't have to force it. And ironically, if you try to force it, you'll have problems. So what happened after Mahaprabhu and his crew were doing these wild kirtans for weeks and months? Kirtans that would last the whole night. Anyone ever tried to do even one overnight kirtan? Right? 11:30, forget it. By 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, no greater austerity physically than just trying to do kirtan all night. If you're watching movies, playing video games, no problem. Netflix could keep you going for 3 days, no sleep. Just right. You don't have to press a button. Just next episode, next episode. And then if you finish the series, they'll suggest a whole new series. Next episode, 3 days, no problem. But 3 hours of kirtan is a lot. Put overnight, even harder. It indicates what was really being tasted in those kirtans of Mahaprabhu and his associates. It wasn't just doing it and we're told to and we have to and we're Hare Krishnas and there's some little spark comes once in a while from the heart of something authentic, but they were just warmed by this fire of prema, could stay around it all night and through the next day and all night and through the next day. It was something real, something lasting. And what happened was it overflowed. This is when Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement, benedicting the fallen conditioned souls, started to gain traction, was after there had been a deep cultivation of connection amongst the friends. Now they have some relationship. Goloka Premadam Harinam Sankirtan. This line is saying from Nartam that this Harinam Sankirtan is coming from Goloka. What's going on in Goloka? It's not God sitting on a throne and everybody worshiping him with chamras and fans. Goloka means village. What happens in the village? Everybody knows your business. Everybody cares about you. Everybody has something to do. Everyone matters in the village. And everybody appreciates each other because of it. Even if someone's a little higher, someone's a little lower, but everyone matters in the village. You don't think about your toenails much. Anyone ever had a broken toenail? It hurts, right? Suddenly your toenails matter the most when your toenail's not working. That skin under there doesn't like to be touched, and the toenail protects it. So top, bottom, left, right, whatever, everyone in the village matters. Everyone has a place, and everyone wants to contribute. No one wants to make the body hurt. This is Vraj. This is Maitre. And this is what we're really preaching. When we talk about giving Mahaprabhu's mercy, giving the Kripa of the Sankirtan movement, it's not to get people to learn how to make this shape on their forehead. That's nice. It's a nice badge. It's a cool brand. But what we're inviting people into is relationships, connection. Now you're a part of the circle. Now you're in the village. You've got something to do. You've got something to contribute. We need to figure out what is your gift and how can you offer it. So Mahaprabhu is going all over, everywhere, South India. He comes across, in one place called Kurma Kshetra, he comes across one gentleman who's just known as Kurma Brahmana. Now probably he had some other name. What Kurma Brahmana is indicating is that he was a priest in Kurma Kshetra. Kurma Kshetra is this big, old school, like 7 wonders of the world kind of temple in South India. I've not been personally, but I've been to Sri Rangam, and I'm told it's very similar. Huge sandstone columns, and no cranes, no concrete, no rebar. Incredible construction. And this was something of like, not quite the Vatican, not quite the holiest place, but one of the holiest places for the Sri Vaishnava tradition. And Mahaprabhu brought his Sankirtan there. So now imagine, the Sri Vaishnavas, they're very like awe and reverence folks. They like the rules. They like things to be done in a clean, quiet way. And then in comes this wild man who rolls on the ground, cries, and screams. It was a little disturbing. At first, it was a little confronting. Mahaprabhu was doing this all over South India, just going in and like a bull in a china shop, just making a scene. But everywhere in all of these places are sincere devotees. They're sincere spiritualists. So although at first it's like, whoa, what is this guy doing? What's he about? Then they notice actually something deep is there. And so Kurma Brahmana, he was one such person. Brahmana means priest. He was one of the priests of this place. He knows all the rules, and everybody follows him to be able to follow the rules themselves. And he himself decided, I want to jump in the Sankirtan van and join the Hare Krishnas. Kurma Brahmana in Madhya Lila says to Mahaprabhu, my Lord, please let me just join your party. I'll give up these people, I'll give up this place, and I'll go with you. What is Mahaprabhu's reply to him? I just want you to stay here. Stay here and be who you are, where you are, and just add one thing. Now, just chant Hare Krishna. And from your natural position, you will give so much to so many, because so many already trust you. Sometimes devotees, they get a little discouraged because they see, well, the Indian folks only talk to the Indian folks, and the white folks only talk to the white folks, and the black folks only talk to the black folks. And they think with that. It's the most natural thing in the world. That's how it goes. It's how the world works. That's how nature works. Doesn't mean you don't like the other folks. It means there's just a natural comfort, right? The food style, the music, the kind of like etiquette of culture, how you discuss things with each other. It's just natural. And we're all also children of God. So Mahaprabhu himself is indicating this by telling Kurma Brahmana, you just stay put. I don't need you to come out and run all over to places you've never been and talk to people you don't know. Just stay where you are, be who you are, and from that place of natural connections of trust and relationship, chant Hare Krishna. And other people, because of their trust in you, they will start to chant Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada's reply to George Harrison. George Harrison said, hey, Prabhupada, let me shave my head. Should I get one of those dhoti things? Natural idea, right? Everyone else is doing it. This is what it means to be dedicated, so I should also do it. Prabhupada's reply was very clear and is very instructive. No need. No need. You just be where you are. You're already a big musician. So many people follow you. So many people trust you. Just take that energy and effort you're giving and point it towards Krishna, and others will follow you in a very natural way. So I've had to look at myself also in my Krishna consciousness and my journey, and I invite you all to do the same. How much energy have you wasted trying to be something you're not? And in the meantime, how many relationships have you spoiled and lost and made awkward? Instead of just being who you are, where you are, in a sattvic way, and then chanting Hare Krishna. And letting your friends, your family, your associates, your coworkers come close. Instead of trying to insert yourself into some other community, some other group of people, just for the sake of telling them about some religion. No one likes that. Very, very, very rare people can do it well. If you're not one of them, me neither. You don't have to tell the people who can do that to do that. They just do that because they're so close to God in their heart, and he just walked in. Who knew Prabhupada was Prabhupada until he became Prabhupada? Right? You can't fake that. In the meantime, even if it's good enough for Kurma Brahmana, stane sthita, as Lord Brahma says in 10th canto, stay where you're at and in a natural way connect. And full things will happen. And what you'll see, just like here in the Cleveland Sangha, we have also in our Sanghas over in Michigan, you have these, what I call transcendent personalities. Somebody from this group is very natural in kind of connecting with others, connect with someone from the other group who's very natural in connecting with others. And then all the groups are kind of interlinked by those natural connections. And if you ask everybody to be a natural connector, then nobody will want to stay around, because it's a very uncomfortable thing to ask everybody to like rise to that occasion. But if you just let the natural connectors connect with each other from time to time and discuss, okay, how do we do things together? How do we cooperate? What can we contribute? What can we get together regularly for? Then in a very natural way, you have the rainbow that you see in this room right now. People from all different walks of life, all different backgrounds, here for a reason. Let's celebrate Mahaprabhu. So that takes having the merciful dispensation to not force people to do things they're not comfortable with, while also helping them keep what really matters in focus. So we have Prema, Maitri, Kripa, and then Upeksha, the last one. We've made a triangle, actually. These are the things that really matter. These are the positives. We need friendship, we need love, and we need mercy. Namruchi, Jiva Doya, Vaishnava Deva. These are the positives. Now we're going to make a circle around it. Lakshman Rekha. Upeksha, some principles of protection. Being careful. Creating my life in such a way that the bad things have a hard time getting in and the good things are very easily cared for. And this is why actually Mahaprabhu took sannyas. Because sannyas gave Mahaprabhu the excuse ultimately at the end of his life to exclusively pay attention only to love, only to prema, and his real goals of developing love, which are something for another day to discuss. A very special, exceptional love that comes from Srimati Radhika's heart, not even Krishna's heart. Krishna can't even understand this love. He has to experience it himself. And so he goes to this very special chamber of Jagannath Puri to cook that offering. He recognizes the need for creating this very unique atmosphere, and so he takes sannyas. So I don't have to worry about what my mom thinks anymore. I don't have to worry about what wives think. I don't have to worry about what society thinks in general. I can just worry about what my life is really about, which is love. And so this indicates an ethic that we have to keep our whole life, wherever we might be. We might have just gotten married a year ago. We might be at the end of our family pastimes, heading into retirement. Wherever you're at on the spectrum, there always has to be a certain level of diligence to that very first goal we spoke about, which is prema. That is the rule. And all other things need to learn to accommodate and be accommodated relative to that. And so eventually that does mean things will fall away and things will go away and things will fall off. And upeksha means to be willing to allow that to happen, to say no to everything else when it is in conflict with love. And as we've discussed, oftentimes you'll find that it's not in conflict with love, because all this is God's energy. Daivihi esha gunamai. It's all his energy. It's not actually against you. The environment is friendly, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj would say. The environment is friendly. And at the end of the day, it's about prema. It's about Krishna. So having that ethic of upeksha and being willing to say no, being willing to say what is, and admit what is actually favorable for your Krishna consciousness, for your walk towards God, and to have the courage, to have the bravery to push things away when it's not. Mahaprabhu showed this in many ways, but especially by taking sannyas, which was such a distressing thing for his whole family in Navadvip. All the devotees, they cried a river of tears bigger than the Ganga. Mother Sachi was destroyed by Mahaprabhu's taking sannyas, and yet still he did, for that purpose of prema. So it wasn't done lightly, and we don't have enough time to give justice to the entirety of the exchange, but that circle, that upeksha, it's what can maintain the integrity of the triangle of prema, maitri, and kripa. So I'll leave you devotees with that, and we'll just open it up for reflection or comment, one or two, before we move on to the exciting Abhishek. I'm happy we did Abhishek a few days ago also. We get to do another one. I love Abhishek. Anybody would offer a comment or reflection?
Very wonderful class. Maitri, Karuna, Upeksha. Beautiful explanation. Now society needs.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Maitri also.
Friendship. Yeah, we forget, we think spiritualist means I'm going to be alone. I get to be the perfect singular one out here by myself. But we learn either the easy way or the hard way, that it really takes friendship. And that's what it's all about. And again, that's what Vraj, that's what the village is about. And that's especially on this path of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. You got to learn how to keep good friends. There was this interesting anecdote of Prabhupada's pastimes. He wanted many paintings of Krishna and Lord Chaitanya and the pastimes of the Lord, because he called them like windows into the spiritual atmosphere. Just gives that, our eyes are such powerful, sensual vehicles for us. So Prabhupada wisely knew we need media, we need images. And so he had all these paintings being commissioned. And one devotee, she had made a painting of Krishna, but it was just of Krishna. And when Prabhupada saw it, he said, this is not good. Because there is no Krishna without Yamuna. There is no Krishna without cows. There is no Krishna without Balaram. There is no Krishna without Srimati Radhika, the gopis, the cowherd boys, the grass of Vrindavan, the bees, the butterflies, the peacocks. There's no Krishna without them. There's no him. There's no them without him. And in Madhya Lila, chapter 8, this is actually a conversation between Venkat Bhatt, Gopalbhatta Goswami's father, and Mahaprabhu. What are the things that distinguish and make Krishna even better than Narayan? And so one of them is Krishna's devotees, who he never actually leaves. So how dear connection and relationship is to Krishna, how much we have to learn to relate in a loving way. Maitri. Thank you, Prabhu. It seems like we're going to be offering Abhishek to your lords. Thank you for letting us assist you in serving them. Yes, Hari Prabhu.
Question, you said internal and external reasons for can you just list it out? I know some of them, but I just want.
Yeah. So as we mentioned, Mahaprabhu's appearance, as with everything in the world, but especially in God consciousness, it has different facets, and our acharyas have highlighted some of those. We shouldn't be so reductionist as to think the purposes of Mahaprabhu can be reduced to 6 bullet points. However, these particular bullet points, they're like, these framings are the, you could say, the overarching moods that Mahaprabhu is coming for. And then everything else can more or less be found under the umbrella of these 6 points. But you should still look for nuance. That's what's exciting about spiritual life. When you find some nuance, you find some sweet detail. I'll share maybe one sweet detail after answering Guru's question directly. So the first of the external reasons is the prayer of Advaitacharya. Advaitacharya, who's documented, he's highlighted in that 3rd chapter. He's insisting, my Lord, either you come or me and Sudarshan are going to take care of these people. We're going to take care of it. We can do it the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is actually my way. But you should come and do it the hard way. You should come and give them an opportunity to learn to love you, because these silly, sorry people of Kali Yuga, otherwise they have no hope. It's got to be you or nothing. You or start over. So Advaitacharya is praying like this. And to oblige his devotee, who is actually the Lord himself also, but also enjoying the spirit of devotion, Advaitacharya makes this prayer, and Mahaprabhu feels obliged. I have to answer. I have to acquiesce to this request of Advaita. Second is to offer mercy to the fallen conditioned soul, to relieve the living entities of their suffering. And then the third is our transition point into the 3 inner reasons that are highlighted by Kaviraj Goswami. The third is particularly to give Rag Marg, particularly to give the opportunity to worship in a mood of spontaneity, real love, not religion, not ceremony and rules, but from the heart. You know, like at work, they tell you happy birthday because they have your name in a spreadsheet. And that guy that everyone talks so much junk about, they also tell him happy birthday. So when they tell you happy birthday at work, you're like, okay, thank you. And I appreciate this $25 Amazon card. But it means a lot more when my kids say it to me. Or when my best friend that I haven't seen in 8 months remembers and he calls me, that happy birthday means more. Because he doesn't have it on some spreadsheet. It's from his heart. So the third external purpose is particularly to give Rag Marg, which is actually in attention of and serving the 3 inner purposes of experiencing the bhava of Srimati Radhika. What is that? Radhikare bhave Prabhu Mata. The bhava of Radhika is the focus of Prabhu. This Prabhu, this Lord, this man, this Purush, he's now focused on the spirit, the mood of a woman. Not just any woman, Srimati Radhika, the personification of love and devotion. And what is Radhika's mood? Mahabhav is the apex of her emotional capacity. The top of her love is when she feels the very bottom. She feels, I'm not serving Krishna. He deserves so much more than I can give him. And in that spirit, our acharyas have come to preach. Not actually to help us out of our pathetic condition situation, although that gets us in the door. That's why we come. But why have they come? Because their Swamini, Radhika, is crying in confusion, thinking that Krishna is not getting enough nice service from her. And so in that confusion that she has, because it's not true, but it's a feature of her love, the nature of her sense of Krishna's worthiness is such that she feels herself unworthy despite him being totally taken over by her. A laddu from her hand puts him in a coma for a day. But she doesn't see that. She feels opposite. All I gave him was a laddu. And so the acharyas, who are her associates, they come here and say, you come help us. That's actually what's going on in this preaching work. Nikunjayuno Ratikeli Siddhya. We sing it every morning. If you know the Guruvastakam prayers and you're cultured in singing the Mangalarti that Srila Prabhupada gave us, we sing it every morning. That our gurus have come for service. It doesn't say anything about fallen conditioned souls. Samsara, yeah, you're in samsara, but they're not. The guru is not worried about samsara. The guru is worried about Radha and Krishna's Leela. So they're coming here to teach us, to train us how to be a part of that. And so this is the external purpose that serves the inner purposes of Mahaprabhu experiencing Mati Radhika's mood, Krishna experiencing Radhika's mood, her the emotion that she feels in serving him, the joy that she feels, and what is it about him that's so wonderful that inspires that service from her? What is it about me that makes her so overwhelmed with love and service? I want to know that. Krishna's like, I can't just look in the mirror and see that myself. I have to have this subjective experience of my objective beauty. So all this is in chapter 4 of Adi Leela, and my folded hands request. These are not coming from me. These are from Krishnadas Kaviraj and our acharyas. And they're captured there painstakingly by Kaviraj was 96 years old and couldn't open his eyes. Srila Prabhupada was, we all know, bravely alone in the Western world, so far away from anybody who would know anything about what he was doing. And he stopped his translation of the Bhagavatam to give us Chaitanya Charitamrita in its entirety. Just again, to signal the importance of that work. So I think we'll stop our discussion here also. I appreciate the kind attention of each of you and those that offered some question and reflection. Thank you. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Kripa Sindhu Vyeva Chapatitana Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Jai.